You good, Dilettante?
Yeah, in my defense, you counted really fast.
Yeah, you did.
I counted pretty fast this time, but it really shouldn't matter how fast I count as long as it's on the same beat.
As long as Dilettante's ready.
I guess next time I'll count to 4.
You
but
didn't even
at the
ask
speed
if
of
I was ready. You just okay, let's start counting.
Everyone's got Audacity open, so let's go. That was me asking if everyone was ready. Audacity's open? Yep. All right, let's go. All right, welcome to the World of Dragons podcast. The podcast where 2.5 dragons review dragon content in books, movies, video games to help you find the next one you want to engage in, and then nerd out about it after a short spoiler break. I am Ray, the sea dragon.
I am Dilettante, the dry dragon.
And I am Bantam, the half dragon.
To me, dry dragon means you come from a desert.
I feel like I came from a desert.
Which, my D&D knowledge is painting you as blue now, because those are the desert dragons.
I thought bronze was a desert dragon. What the fuck?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Blue is the desert dragon.
That blue is in the color?
Yes.
That makes sense.
No, blue should always be Arctic.
No, that's white.
Blue should be aquatic.
That too.
There was no aquatic in the base 10 dragon colors.
Well, I'm sorry, but desert should not be blue.
Ray's being discriminated against.
I guess, yeah, because sea dragon in original D&D there was no major dragon for the sea. Anything sea related was like a sea serpent or a kraken or whatever. They were all lesser. I think now with the addition of gemstone dragons, I don't know enough about them. I think some of them might be primarily aquatic, and then there's a couple of other sources that have weird dragon colors like platinum and purple and pink and whatever. But of the base 10, none of them were inherently aquatic. Some could breathe underwater. I think the black could because he lives in swamps, but there was nothing specifically for the ocean.
Purple and pink are not dragon colors.
They are now.
So, dragon news.
Yeah, sure, we'll go right into dragon news, I guess.
We always go right into dragon news before the actual review.
I mean, do we usually tell people we're reviewing before the dragon news?
I mean, it's going to be in the title, but...
Also, it's book 3. They know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Dragon news. Go for it, Mr. Reporter Tan.
Unfortunately, this story is going to be a sad one. With Netflix going down the shitter, canceling all sorts of animated projects and losing people left and right, one of a very famous series that a lot of us are looking forward to has been caught in the crossfire. Wings of Fire, the animated series, has hit the can. Not much has really gotten into development thus far, and there are reports of them trying to find another publisher. So hopefully they're not out of the fight just yet. However, Netflix is they're a bunch of dicks. That's this reporter's opinion.
I really hope it doesn't become a situation like that comic book goth artist, the one who does the comic for Bone. Apparently he came really close to getting his own show 4 different times. And Netflix was kind of the last attempt he had, and it got canceled too.
Whatever. I'm kind of in the tub of sour grapes when it comes to the Wings of Fire show for Netflix, whatever, because while I do still enjoy the series, I used to love it. There's a little bit of love-hate right now. But as much as I enjoy it, I feel like the show was not going to be good in the first place. It was either going to just be a retelling of the books, and I will always prefer books over animation like that. So it's no real loss if that's the case. But otherwise, I feel like the main target being kids, it was going to be dumbed down and not as good as everyone was hoping.
Ray and I have discussed this many times in the car, with spoiler alert, so just close your ears for the next 10 seconds. Apparently humans start playing a huge role in the later books, and the fact that the publisher probably pushed this on the author means that... I
feel like Scholastic pushed it because of the movie deal that was in the talks.
Because of the movie deal that was in the talks, which means that this TV show would have been a human story where they'd have a really badly CG animated dragon every once in a while. And it would
have been good CG, but it would have been as little as they could get away with because they wanted to save on CG budget.
So they want to tell human stories, and I think I can speak for all 3 of us, do not want to see fucking humans in a story that is supposed to be dragon-centric.
Yeah. There are a lot of times when humans are good in the dragon story. Like, they belong and they have a good purpose and all that. Several of my books that I've really loved have humans, and a lot of the story revolves around the interaction between the human and dragon. The problem with putting it into Wings of Fire is it was originally pitched and sold as a completely dragon story.
Yeah,
And they're now going back on that, which is like, hey, come on.
It feels kind of bait and switchy.
A little bit. But again, that's just me being kind of not a
Sour
doomsayer,
grapes.
but just sour grapes, yeah. Just like, it probably was going to be like one of these 3 things, and so probably not that good anyway. So I'm not as upset as like the entire Wings of Fire subreddit is, where to this day, I still see like 2 or 3 posts of someone discovering it got canceled and just lamenting. And it's like, all right, guys, we get it. Please, no more posts.
Yeah, the problem is that, and this is just because I'm a pessimist. I don't think a petition's going to do anything. They need to guarantee that it will bring in money. And
Well, the thing is, the petition itself might not, but Wings of Fire is still like the most popular kids series right now. It's still popular, so it might still get picked up somewhere else. But it won't be because of the petition, it'll be because the books are popular.
yeah.
And if raised any indication, they still are. So, how's everybody's jaw feel?
So, all right.
I was gonna say, Dillaton, how are your teeth?
I
All right, so in case anyone's just tuned, like this is the first episode they listen to and they don't know what's going on, we're reviewing
book 3.
the book 3 of Lazy Scales. The last episode was book 1 and book 2, so it goes out with that one if this is your first one listening. We covered most of our review on the author's writing style, the characters, and all that in those 2, so not much to go over before we get into our spoiler-filled part. But I guess there are a couple of new characters that we could probably talk about.
I was going to suggest we go ahead and put the spoiler warning right here, right now, otherwise we're going to be grasping at straws.
Well,
yeah, there's not really much to go over,
yeah.
I guess.
So yeah, this is book 3, Dull Teeth, in the Lazy Scale series.
Aptly named.
By
Yeah,
DM Gillmore.
Yep.
And each one of the book titles is kind of like almost like a disparaging remark on dragons, broken horns, dull teeth, lazy scales.
Well, there's Kindled Flame, which is not that disparaging.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But this is the continuation from the last episode, so definitely go listen to that one first if you have not.
Oh, the first 2 books have an audiobook. This one does not. However, we got confirmation from the author that it is being produced. It is currently, it started recording like a week ago, I think, or something.
Yeah, I should have asked. I was really curious as to whether, because we were discussing it at work, Ray and I, about how a author of a book goes about getting it turned into an audiobook. And so I'm kind of curious as to if the author has to pay the voice actor, or
yes.
if that is, and
if they, because he owns all the rights to his own content. So yes, because he's an indie author, he has to pay the voice actor himself. If it was like for Wings of Fire, because Scholastic is the publisher and they own the publication rights, they may be the ones who pay the audiobook narrator rather than TUI.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on what their contract is like.
Oh, okay.
But in this case, because DM Gillmore is an indie author, he has to do it himself. All right, so I guess we're going to go straight into spoiler talk then.
Yep.
Do I still get to play my music clip?
You can play it right after Dragon News.
I like the music clip. I actually want to find a composer to get custom music for, but how do you even go about that?
Find a composer, ask him.
Well,
pay him,
I know. Okay, duh, shit. But I mean, when you told the composer, "Hey, it's for a podcast about dragons," make it sound dragony. It's I don't know how to. I barely know how to talk to artists. I don't know how to talk to a composer.
Well, not to plug any other podcast, but there was a podcast I listened to where he did go to Fiverr, and he got him to make a tune for his podcast. But he says that he thinks he made the mistake of telling him it was for a podcast because the guy made it as bad as possible, probably because he didn't want it used for a show. But you could go to Fiverr and say, hey, I want a short, 15-20 second thing on.
No, I'd probably get a full 2 or 3 minute thing, but I would want it to be like the mood throughout the piece changes. So like I would clip the beginning for the opening, the middle for the middle, and the end for the end.
Oh, there you go.
But like it's like I don't know, it has to open epic and adventurous, but then it slowly becomes like somber and peaceful before like a bittersweet ending as rain sounds. Blah blah blah. I don't like. How do you talk to a composer? Whatever. Okay, that's off topic. I'll figure it out.
So, Ray, are you the spawn of Satan?
I prefer Morningstar, but yes. Okay, like religious talk aside, Morningstar is just a really cool name.
Yes, it is. I figure where that came from.
You don't know what Morningstar is?
No.
Holy shit, and you're the Catholic dragon from Bible Belt.
Christian dragon from Bible Belt.
Wait, what denomination of Christian? You don't even know your own religion.
Listen, there's so many fucking types, I can't keep track.
Protestant?
No, definitely not.
You're not Baptist, are you?
All I know is I am Christian.
Morningstar is Lucifer's last name.
Oh.
I don't know if it's a last name or like a title, but yeah, it's Lucifer Morningstar.
I think it was mostly a title. The
Wait,
Morningstar.
how did I not know that? I watched the whole Lucifer series on Netflix. He always introduces himself as Lucifer Morningstar.
Yeah.
I need to fucking wake up. Holy shit.
you need to wake up an hour before we start recording so you can be up and ready to go.
Oh, that would just prolong
that would
the
kill him.
sleepiness.
That would kill him. Yeah. Well, if Dilettante wasn't up, 4 hours ago, because he responded to me on Telegram at midnight, my time.
Because my power went out. Everything just got dead silent and then kicked back on, and my refrigerator just started growling at me. I couldn't go back to sleep.
I now imagine Dilettante is the kid who won't go into the basement because the boiler keeps making scary noises.
Listen, those boilers do make weird-ass noises. Okay?
There's a monster in the basement. Ah!
Well, actually, we can't have basements in Florida. They always flood.
I didn't go into the basement of my grandmother's house because it looked like a dungeon. To cracked stone walls with exposed cross beams, and everything was covered in a sheet of spider webs.
Okay, so where to start on this thing?
We can start with Jeremy, because my God, he is fucking
Bantam.
bleeding with teenage angst.
Bantam, do you still hate Jeremy?
I still hate Jeremy.
More or less than the first two books? Because I mean, like you went like on a tirade before how much you hated him.
Yeah, I really do still hate him. The whole. All right. First of all, if I'm stuck in a room with some evil witch and she reaches for me, I'm gonna fucking run or punch her or whatever. I'm not gonna sit there as she grabs my throat and then
I think the idea is she moved faster than he could comprehend, because fairy.
Okay, but then you shut your mouth. Hold your mouth shut. Like, so what we're discussing here is the first. So in the first and second book, there were scenes. No. Just hold on to that thought. In the first and second book, there were scenes in the book that made me physically nauseous, and in this book, there's none of that. There's no blood or gore, or there's nothing that deeply upset me. But there is something that is arguably just as bad, but in a different way. I guess you could call it the antagonist, carves runes into Jeremy's teeth as a form of binding spell to control him like a puppet. And it's the concept of someone just grinding runes into your teeth and then controlling you. And it constantly would refer to, like, it would describe his teeth as vibrating, and that his gums would start bleeding as he tried to resist, and it's just like, it's all the worst. All I needed was someone to play a dentist drill sound in my ear.
Please, I've already started to clench back up into a black hole. Let's move on. That was probably the most. I made it through the juice boxing and the eating of the first two books easily, but the teeth got me. I almost collapsed into a singularity trying to get through that.
Yeah, and once that scene was over, I was like, I made it. I was actually able to read through it, and although yes, it made me deeply uncomfortable and I shuddered a lot, I was like, all right, I made it through. That's the worst that this book has, right? No, there's something far worse later.
Oh, so much worse.
I guess we're not doing a spoiler whatever, so I could just say it. But later on in the book, in order to break him free from that spell, Lewis picks him up and then pokes his teeth out with a claw. And it's described as he had to be careful so that he didn't impale his head with his claw.
Didn't like that, Dilettante?
No, not even the slightest.
You know, I would do it to you to break mind control.
I told Ray in the
I would
car,
never get myself into that situation.
I
would no.
Yeah, if I were in that situation, I would really honestly appreciate it. It still would make me deeply uncomfortable, and it would be something I wouldn't be able to ask for. But if Ray were to just grab me and do it, I'd appreciate it later, even after I recovered from the pain.
Would you rather she carved it into his skull, like she said at some point?
Well, it's funny. It's one of
how,
those.
How do you undo it at that point?
It's one of those. It's one of those bad guy things where they're like, "Ugh, I should have done this thing that would have undone half the plot in a sense." You know, like where a bad guy kind of retroactively goes, "I should have done this." That would have solved every problem. You know.
Well, that's when you knock out Lewis, take him out of surgery, and they do a skull plates. They can take out pieces of your skull easily without any consequence.
I mean, depends on how big. I guess if the writing was small enough to fit on like the front teeth, it did. I may have missed it, but did they say if it was the front four teeth, or just the front two?
The front four.
The front four. So, if it was small enough to fit on that, I believe you could probably just drag you'd have to cut the skin, but you could just grind the claw into the skull and it would just destroy the runes. It wouldn't kill him. It would just hurt a lot.
I don't know. I still like the juice box. I still liked how graphic the first two books were. Like, I was okay with it. I know you two weren't. The teeth thing didn't really bother me that much for the simple fact that it was teeth. It bothered me because I don't like mind control, body control stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of I need to just I don't like mind control either. I don't mean
like I'm okay with the I don't know, like a Gaius. I'm okay with a Gaius, but like full on like puppeteering, no, it's too much and I don't like it.
Because it's a lazy way for the bad guy to enact their plans, you know.
For those of you who don't know what a Gaius is a magical compellment. It like when he couldn't talk about her plans and had to go around it by texting instead. That's an example of a Gaius. It wasn't a physical block, but like he couldn't do it.
I did like that actually. So there were a couple things that were very. If I've mentioned it before on the podcast, I fucking hate tropes. I hate when something has been done 1,000 times, like, you know, MacGuffins and whatever. But the fact that her enchantment prevented Jeremy from telling his brother, you know, the truth.
Yeah, I think it's like you will speak to this of no one.
You will speak to this of no one, and the bad guy has multiple times stated, the crone has stated that magic is very very strict, and it's the letter of the law must be followed, but not the spirit. And so he pulls out his phone and he texts it, and that goes around the spell, which I thought was really clever, and I like that.
Imagine if a lawyer knew magic.
You guys remember Vankir the Dragon?
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember how hell was basically lawyers and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and heaven wasn't the best of insurance scam.
At one point in the second book, I guess very minor spoilers, I try to be vague, but at one point there needs to be a contract between a djinn and Victor, and so he gets his demon lawyers to help him out, and it's a 400-page contract that's basically the wish and all its stipulations and closing all the loopholes and everything so there can be no twisting of the wish. So it's like, yeah, if lawyers knew magic, they'd be 400-page contracts.
Imagine trying to carve that into a sword.
Also, I did like I liked all the descriptions that the crone had for the way she enchanted Tokoyo's dagger. The fact that the dagger itself was so full of enchantments and her magic that it basically had a life of its own, and that it could only contain so much more magic before it became unstable. And I like that. I think that's neat, instead of just, you get Skyrim rules where you just put a dagger on a table and slap it full of spells, and you're like, yeah.
Well, no, actually, Skyrim follows the same rule, because you do use a soul to enchant it.
Yeah.
I haven't played enough Skyrim. Is there a limit to how many spells you can put on a dagger?
Yes. When
you've got 3 enchantment slots.
It's when you've maxed out your enchanting, you can put up to I think 4 modifiers.
No, I modded the shit out of my Skyrim, so I don't know if mine's correct or not. But you can do, I think 2 is the max vanilla. Mod I got, you could do 3 slotted 1 time, and it'll blow up your enchanting table, and you fly away. That's the only time you can ever do it.
See, this is why I don't like heavily modding games like Skyrim, because then you can't talk about the game anymore. Because
nobody talks about vanilla Skyrim. Nobody talks about vanilla Skyrim.
I bought the anniversary edition with all the free whatever, and I still consider that vanilla, because these are all approved and, maintained by Bethesda.
It is the new vanilla, because it is the base level that people get out of the box.
It's like, it's still really fun. But it's more fun knowing that I can just play the game and not have to worry about the game imploding on itself.
Oh, it's going to implode on itself.
No, it's
Give
not. I've never had a problem with it.
So what do you guys think about the crone in general? Like, we talked about the teeth and the carving and the soul, but like, just in general, the crone.
So...
Are you going to join my camp of hating the Fae? Anytime someone mentions Fae in like a chat room, be like, Fae, and shake your fist?
No.
Old man yells at Fae.
I've had much more exposure to Fae as a I guess, what do you want to call it?
Disney Tinkerbell?
No, not like that. Well, like Final Fantasy XIV. The entire Shadowbringer storyline dealt with Fae a lot. And
Grr, Fae.
And I liked them. I like Fio-Ul, and
leave it to the half-breed to like Fae.
Yeah. Well, I even in our D&D game, you basically made me a Fae.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it.
You've corrupted him, Ray. This is all you're doing.
Yeah, you did this to me.
I can't even trust you anymore.
Look upon the monster you have created.
Fae sympathizer.
Yeah. So let's try to like discuss stuff in order with the book.
All right. So we want to rewind a bit. It's kind of go in order, so easier to not forget something if we go in order.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's the order that our notes are written in.
Yeah, there's a couple quotes that I really want to get to, but the one that we open the show with, which we cut to Lewis. He's in his cave. They've got cameras. They've got microphones.
They got snipers.
With heated tungsten rounds specifically designed to kill him, and all the dragon slayers that were previously falling. What's his name? I can never remember his name.
Lambton.
I keep wanting to say Langston, but Lambton. All the dragon slayers that were previously under him are now working for the governor, and
it's not all. It's most, but it's not all.
Yeah, but they now have a shock collar on them, and Martha, the detective,
shock collar between this and Caketropolis, shock collar.
Yeah, has the remote for the shock collar, and this is where he's first experiencing the repercussions of his deal, which is now there's scientists showing up that want to poke and prod at him. They want samples, and the one scientist trying to steal a scale, and he's like, ugh.
Yeah, well, if you want to go in order, then before the scientists, we have the press conference.
Oh, the press conference, right. CNM, Conservative News Media, which it was never stated out loud, but it's basically Fox News.
Hey, you'll enjoy this. Now, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, but CNM shows up in the next book.
Oh, yeah.
They're back.
Good.
The Dilettante News Network.
DNN?
No, it's just because that's the people he has to deal with, so it's the Dilettante News Network. But
Dilla News does not affiliate itself with CMN in any way, shape, or form.
Like, I'm kind of shaking right now. I'm so angry.
Just my only comment on the press conference is, if I was a born human that then turned into a dragon, and I was like, no, I've been a dragon this whole time, because you can't let them know that you used to be human, because law repercussions, I guess, is the main reason.
Well, I never got that. I never understood that. Why he needed to hide that he was human. What are they going to do? Put him in jail? They have to build a new jail.
I mean, still, they try.
No, I don't think they would. I don't think it would be worth the money. And on top of that, he's not human anymore. You know, it's
well,
like...
to be honest, his whole book was like an allegory of coming out of being gay.
Oh, no, we're going to talk about that later, because I got some opinions on that. But as far as why he had to not let the world at large know he used to be human, I have several reasons, but I'm trying to think of a reason that he would have thought of. And the best one I can come up with is because the fact that he did kill people, you can't let them know that you also used to be human, because then it's like, well, then you should have known better, and then you start to be held accountable for it.
I mean, he's
like,
already
at one point, Martha just says, like, you don't, those rights are for humans, you don't have those, and otherwise we would have been able to charge you for murder.
How about Martha?
Martha's a doll.
I won't call her a doll. Okay, back to the press conference when the conservative media was fucking grilling Lewis and pissing him off. Martha's like, "Oh, don't you dare!" Not even surprised that this was going to happen.
She probably secretly enjoyed it, watching Lewis panic, and the fact that he handled the question exactly like someone would in that situation. They just anyway. Anyone else have any questions?
Right, and so to finish my thought that I kind of like veered off course for, if I was a born human who then turned to a dragon, had to keep that secret, and then was doing a news conference as the last dragon on Earth, I would have tried to, I guess, play a bit more dumb as far as how a news conference works. Like, when everyone raises their hand, starts, like, the floor is open for questions, right? And everyone just jumps up and raises their hand. Like, take a step back, look around, and then turn to the mayor or Martha and be like, what are they doing? Why are they all raising their hands like that? Like, just play a bit more dumb, not like immediately go like, you in the front.
Yeah, he's seen some TV before. He gave it away.
Yeah, and no one caught on that. That's just kind of funny. But it's like I would have played a bit more dumb.
Well, to the reporters, they would have probably assumed that he got, like, quote unquote coached for something like this. Like, hey, this is what's going to happen. So they wouldn't have noticed. Martha
I guess
probably
that could have happened
really
behind the scenes between book 1 and book 2. Yeah, but yeah, the CNM jumps up like, "Are you the spawn of Satan?" I'm like, "Who the fuck is Satan?" Is it true you're a man-eating monster? I mean, technically. But I don't like being called a monster, thank you.
All right, moving on from conservative media news. What is... Then Crystal comes, the scientist.
Then we have like a little spat between him and Last Hope, like usual. You know, they're always arguing. But then when he pushes his head out again, yeah, Crystal's there. And it's like, it's like unpopular opinion, I guess, and like how dare a dragon think this, but like, I think being studied within reason, being studied would be kind of fun. Just, you know, all the attention and spotlights on you. It's like, you're so special, you're the last one. Can we please have a scale?
I mean,
like,
it would be
just inflate your ego.
See,
it would. Holy shit.
Here's the thing, though.
My main problem is the way Crystal just goes about it with like not even really asking for consent because he's just an animal, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming a lot of that's just muscle memory with like other animals that she's worked with. So like you remove that aspect, so you can make it a bit more respectful, and like it would probably be a lot of fun.
Here's the problem. You're giving them the tools necessary to be able to kill you, though.
They already have the tools necessary to kill
him.
That's
brute force. That's brute force. You can kill anything with a superheated tungsten round. A superheated tungsten round can probably go through tank armor. Point being is that if you have a debilitating weakness, like, this is completely unrealistic, but let's just say, like, rose petals, like, made your skin bubble and boil off or whatever, and they found that out through testing, something that you would never have discovered on your own, then they would now know exactly how to efficiently and quickly kill you without any possibility. Like, you can dodge bullets, you can get away from gunners, but...
Well, I guess this comes down to, do you plan on fighting humans at some point or living amongst them? Well, because in the context of this book, Lewis is hoping to live amongst them.
Well, I would want them dead.
I mean, they already have a debilitating weakness strapped to his neck that can make him fall out of the sky at will. They don't need fucking toxic rose petals or stuff. They don't need they don't need to find...
Again, I said that was unrealistic. I'm not saying that it would actually be rose petals. I just was just grabbing something out of the ether.
I'm saying if they did find some sort of chemical weakness, like say he was allergic to something.
They do blood work and they find out that he's weak to this type of poison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Downing him with a shock collar and shooting him would be much more effective than trying to get a needle under his scales.
Let me tell you, though, I don't think it's ever addressed in the book, but the range on a shock collar is not exactly that long.
Apparently, this is a fucking heavy-duty shock collar.
I the thing is, like, considering the situation he's in, they're gonna figure out what to use against him no matter what, whether he would give them permission or not, because he's effectively a captive. It's like they're
Well, allowing himself to be captive. Last time saying he just ripped the collar off at any time and fly away.
well, yeah. So he's allowing himself to be captive because he wants to stay by his friends and all that. Yes, of course. But it's like I just in his particular situation, I don't see there being a difference beyond allowing them to study him, and he's just gonna get studied against his will anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess in a different scenario where like there's a colony of dragons that live apart from humans, to try to devil's advocate for Bantam here, I guess. Colony of dragons living apart from humans, and one of them is like, I want to be studied, or like I'm gonna allow myself to be studied because humans have been asking, and he's like, I want the fame and attention and the pampering, so he goes and lives with them on a little complex and gets studied. And it's like, could they like develop weapons to use against dragons off of that? It's like, maybe, but I don't think any of them would be super viable. Any of the easily viable ones they would just be able to get just naturally.
Yeah, like good old surface-to-air heat-seeking missiles.
Basically, yeah. Are dragons missile-proof?
No.
I'm missile-proof.
You only think you're missile-proof until you've been hit by a missile.
I'm pretty missile-proof, because I have magic, Diletan.
What if all your magic has just been a really weird drug trip? Like, you find you quote-unquote enchanted plant, you think it's boosting your power, but you think you're just lifting whole mountains, but yeah, you just trip it on the ground.
No.
Uh-huh.
Back to the book.
So
There was a couple of lines that I felt started to get like a little contradictory to what the author wrote earlier. Like at one point, and I actually have the actual quote here. Having spent most of his life as a human, he couldn't have a negative opinion of them. And it's like, okay, but we've established before that he doesn't remember being human. He remembers doing the things that he did, but his memory is always him as a dragon in the situation.
Spending his life amongst humans, that's the takeaway there.
Yes, but the line here is having spent most of his life as a human, but he shouldn't remember that. That's not a memory that he has anymore. It's, I was in my house playing video games with Jeremy, but I was doing it as a dragon.
Yeah.
He literally does not remember being human. That was established in the first book, and then now it's like, oh, well, because he was human, he can't think bad about them. Like, no, we're contradicting stuff here now.
Yeah.
Maybe he's been a dragon for so long, he's able to kind of filter it out, maybe?
No, I don't think, I think Ray's right. I think it was just a mistake. I think it was, so I've always thought about like writing my own book, and I always decided that if I'm going to write a book, it's going to be a one-off. That's it. One book. I'm done. That story in the files. It's over. And the reason why is because I think the longer you go through a book series, the harder and harder it gets to remember small details about little throwaway lines that you may have had in other books.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Because like even Bethesda as a game studio, they've admitted that they've had to go to their own wiki to look up information about look up their own lore because they've forgotten. And because crazed fans will archive every little snippet of dialogue, it's like it gets hard to remember that. And you know, you got a book series that's like 15 books long. By book 15, I guarantee you could pick out a good 10 to 15% of every dialogue line in there that directly contradicts something from another book.
Probably, yeah.
It's an unfortunate thing. It's like if you're going to do if you go into it saying, you know what, I'm going to write 5 books. It's going to be a 5-book series. Maybe write all 5 of them at the same time. Like just go write a huge, 3,000 page thing and then cut it into sections and give them little gentle, endings for each book or something.
But most publishing contracts, I think, force you to start writing sequels if they start selling well, so then you're
in
this situation.
It depends if you're indie or you're published.
Yeah. It's just, it's got to be difficult, and I sympathize, because you may be writing something and go, I kind of need to punch up this paragraph, let me add this line in. And especially if it's the way I write, the way I used to write was, you write out the basic framework of the story, which ends up being about 50 pages. Then you go back through and you start punching it up. And then you can get it up to like 120 pages or whatever. But at that point, you're trying to fill out paragraphs to make it the content worth reading, and you may throw in a couple lines that you're not going to remember.
But yeah, I just want to like nitpick at a couple of these contradictory points because I thought it was kind of, I guess, funny. Because yeah, it's like I'm not going to be like all aggressive to the author and be like, "Hey, how dare you?" and I demand answers. But it's like, hey,
it happens.
I would be a good editor.
Actually, you are a good editor. There have been plenty of times you've edited stuff that I've done.
Yeah,
and pointed out times where in the same paragraph I'll say like the same thing 3 different ways.
You mean that some of my stories?
Yeah, if you actually wrote a story.
I did write. I wrote like 3.
Yeah, he wrote me one.
I wrote you 2.
Oh, you mean the porn stories?
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about like real stories.
No,
they're real to me. Damn it.
Span.
But yeah, my going just down my list of talking points. So I guess if I go too far down my list and you guys like, wait, what about my list? Then stop me. But like back to the studying with Crystal. I just want to comment how, because like I said, it would be fun, right? Within reason. It's like some of the imagery was like oddly like adorable. Like when Crystal just runs up to him, picks up his claw, and just like starts looking at it. It's like, oh, they're really sharp, but they look like metal. But they just need to be normal beta keratin, and he just pulls back his claw. It's like, do you mind? It's like, I don't know why that mental image is adorable.
Just the thought that the moment that Lewis looks away or is distracted by literally anything, she's just gonna start like, poking at his
touching him and poking
probing,
and prodding.
yeah, like
plucking scales,
trying to get under a scale to see what kind of skin is beneath the scale. It's like
later on.
I don't know why it's oddly adorable, but it is.
Later on in the book, when they get a saliva sample, and then she gets some of the what do they call it? The freezing chemical, the
retardant.
The retardant.
They call it
retardant, and then she's like, "Oh, well, this other gland, as soon as it's exposed to air, it ignites. So we're gonna have to." Grabs a needle, and he's like, "No, that's it."
Needle. It's like, nope, no needles in my fire gland.
Also, when Lewis was talking while he had the car jack in his mouth to keep his mouth open, reading that
car jack.
Well, whatever it was, but phonetically, I was reading his dialogue as uncomfortable, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's perfect."
I need to know, Mr. Gilmore, because I know you're going to listen to this. Did you sit there with your mouth open trying to say that sentence several times so you could write it out?
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
Now you're doing it.
Well, I actually like hooked my thumbs to like hold my mouth open and then tried to say it, but I almost bit myself.
But yeah, fun times.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, but like amongst all these like adorable scenes, like just having these people who are just so amazed and enamored by you that they just need to touch and examine and study. It's like, I love that aspect of it, but then on the other side of the coin is just how, just I guess instinctually, she just sees him as an animal who doesn't need to give consent, so she's just like, no personal space or whatever. It's like, that kind of rubs me the wrong way, mostly because if she was working with other endangered animals, like a tiger or something, you still don't just go up to it and start touching it without, like, making sure it's okay with it. So it's like, I don't see how that instinctive behavior, like, built up in her.
Well, Crystal does ask for Lewis's consent.
I mean, like,
she recognizes his intelligence.
Like, half the time. It's like, she'll slip into her old habits of just, like, touch, grab, pull out a scale, and then she's like, oh, right, sorry, do I have your consent?
I mean, to be fair, this is the first time she's ever worked with an animal that talks.
Yeah, but my point is like, even with like other animals, like a tiger or an alligator or whatever, it's like you still don't just go up to it and grab it and pull something off of it. You still like respectfully approach and make sure it's giving you its consent just non-verbally. So it's like, my point is, I don't understand how she got that hands-on touchy. Like that behavior should not have developed.
I mean, he would technically still, she would still be able to see the consent. I mean, he wasn't showing any threatening displays. Martha was standing by to shock her.
There were a couple of threatening displays, but yeah, whatever.
All right, so I believe the next major story beat
is the coming out to the parent talk.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well, there's. I
wish-
think before that wasn't the teeth thing before that.
Well,
No,
kind of.
Lewis-
So the next actual part of the story is Becca pulling him aside to talk to him about it.
coming out to his parents.
So not the coming out scene, but talking about it. Then the tooth thing would happen before any of the other real big stuff happens.
No, Jeremy had to try to kill Lewis first, and then Teeth.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the coming out analogy or the Lewis attacking or Jeremy attacking Lewis thing?
If I talk about Jeremy's Lewis attacking, we'll bring up Star Wars too often. I don't know why, but Jeremy reminds me of Anakin Skywalker during that whole scene. So he's screaming, "I hate you." Ray, grace us with your thoughts about the coming out, because I know you've had some bottled up.
So, okay. I don't know the author's orientation because it wasn't, like, important, right? But as the three of us are very gay individuals, okay? We're going to have to just say that.
You're gay to me.
That was pretty good. I see the points he's trying to make by comparing it to coming out, the being closeted as a dragon and having to come out to his parents. Literal words from the book, but it feels weird. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel like I'm not offended by it, but it just feels weird. It feels like a stretch.
It feels way too much like for me. I agree. It feels a lot like a huge stretch into coming out as gay. This is just my opinion. I don't think that telling your parents that you turned into a dragon is nearly the same or comparable to coming out as gay.
Didn't it feel shoehorned to you, the whole gay analogy?
Well, so
yeah,
but
a little bit.
But it could have been
a
writing. It could have been a writing choice because Becca is gay, and so you have a gay character telling a dragon who is hiding himself. I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but the entire time that I got through that section, I was just kind of like, all right, I got it. I get it. But I will say that when that scene ended, when that whole arc ended, when he actually did get to confront his parents, it actually did bring me to tears.
Yeah, no, I did get a little touchy on that too. I won't lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole time leading up to it, with Becca being like, it's basically the same thing. I dare you to tell your queer friend that it's not, and it's like, and all of that. It's like I felt weird about that. That felt really weird to me. But then when we got to the actual scene itself, the scene itself of him talking to his parents was so beautifully done that it did make me cry too. Like I loved that.
Yeah.
But then upon rereading the book, getting back to Becca talking to Luz, like, you need to come out to your parents. I'm like, nope, still weird.
Yeah, in the end, it was a rough scene getting there, but the ending of that scene where he actually did get to talk to his parents was beautiful. I felt something, and here's the thing, ultimate compliment for DM Gillmore. I usually don't feel anything while reading books, and here's why. I expressed to a couple people, including Teresa Nix and Dilettante and Ray, that reading physical books, having a physical book in my hand, is probably the most difficult thing for me to do these days. And I know to some who read books habitually that's like, what? But the thing is that when I'm playing a video game that has books in it, I can stop and read a book because it takes me 3 to 4 minutes to read the entire thing, and then I can go back to playing the game. When I play Cyberpunk 2077 and I pick up a data thing and I read the little story in there and then I go back to shooting people, it's fine because it was a tiny little break. But I also have sights and sounds and colors to distract me. But when I have a book in my hand and I'm just reading text on a paper, my brain literally goes into revolt mode. Like, it desperately begs for me to stop and do literally anything else. And my imagination...
That's a mood.
My imagination just shuts down. I can't picture or hear anything. It's like my brain is silent. But that scene actually made me feel something, which to me was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really powerful scene. And it's kind of, that scene alone is the reason why when we did the review for the first book, I asked you guys, would you want to tell your parents that you were a dragon if you were a born human who got turned into a dragon against their will? And this whole thing Lewis is going through, would you want to tell your parents, and like when and how?
I personally, just my opinion, I didn't think it was that big. Like, if I were a dragon, if I were Lewis in the situation, I wouldn't think it was that big of a deal. In fact, I would probably just tell Becca, hey, can you take this message back to my parents and just say, listen, I am still alive. That dragon that you heard about, I somehow turned into that dragon. I don't know how it happened, but I still love you. And if you want to come see me, just be aware, I am a fucking dragon.
You know, after watching Pete's Dragon, thinking back to that question, I don't think I have a chance to tell my parents that they're all the rednecks coming to hunt me.
Well, you also live in a place where anyone within a 5-mile radius could grab their guns and come for you. So,
try like 100 feet.
you don't even make it out your door.
I poke my head out. It's just laser sights all over my scales.
Yep.
All right, then the old Jeremy comes and decides to pay Lewis a visit.
Well, okay, before that, I was a little distracted because I was messaging the author. He does identify as queer. He said it says so on his Amazon profile, so I went to go look that up. As a game developer and queer man with ADHD, he creates fun characters, so on. His stories convey the queer experience through a unique lens in his series. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious that he purposefully was going to, I can't think of the words. He was purposely trying to...
Equate it.
Equate it, yeah, that's
and
the word. Equate
knowing that now, I changed my opinion. It wasn't that bad then because you, in a way...
Because you don't want to offend him when he listens to this.
Not for that reason, but because if you yourself have gone through these struggles, it's the best way that you can convey that struggle. If a straight character wrote that, then it would be like...
Yeah.
Like,
it would be a
not
little
a
more extra.
A straight person. If a straight person wrote that, it would have been like super cringy. Like, all right, is it, you know?
Hey, authors can be characters. But yeah, so it's like I stand by what I said. It felt weird, but it didn't feel like I wasn't upset by it. Like it just felt weird, and it may be because my own coming out experience was like slightly different, and that's probably why it felt weird to me. Maybe this was more in line with what his experience was. And maybe it's more in line with what other people's experiences are. Like, mine was a very unique experience. And so that's probably why it felt weird to me.
Yeah, my experience was, like, you know, the imposter syndrome, where you feel like there are so many people out there who have had really bad experiences with coming out, you know. And mine was, I just had a breakdown in the car one day and told my mom, and she pulled over and she went, "I've known since you were 12. And I'm like, oh... And that was the end of it. Like, she's just like, well, I'm glad you told me. And then we kept going. And the fact that the whole situation took like 10 minutes and it didn't even feel like a weight was lifted off me. I was just like, wait, that's it? Okay. But,
I told my entire history class back in 9th grade and they all laughed at me.
Well, you don't tell school kids.
Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way.
I went through the entirety of high school. Everyone thought I was mute, and I actually leaned into it, and I did it on purpose because I thought it was great. If everyone thought that I was mute and incapable of talking, teachers never called on me. No one ever talked to me. My mentality in high school was, if you don't make any friends, you can't make any enemies, because if you make a friend with someone and then they have someone who hates them, they hate you too now. And so I went through the entirety of my high school with no friends, never talking to anyone. And then in my senior year, I started talking, and I did not shut the fuck up.
He never shut up. To this day, he hasn't shut up.
So the superlative in my yearbook, actually, I won the most talkative award.
It's like, part of me is wondering, like, do we share our own coming out stories now, since this is the coming out?
Yeah,
book of Lazy
I mean,
Tales?
sure, why not?
Why not?
So the reason why mine was pretty weird is on how to tell the story. My family was heavily religious, though being Mormon rather than like your usual Christian stuff, it was a lot less. I don't want to like offend like actual like Catholics and Christians, but it was a lot less hate filled. Like, oh no, they're evil, and more of a it was more of pity than hate. Like people that succumb to the temptations, whatever, you pity them, you try to help them, but you still love them, right? And a lot less of a they're gonna go to hell, so stay away from them and whatever, right?
Yeah.
So when I kind of like discovered my sexuality and had to come out, I tried to do so through a note because I don't like confrontation. I didn't want to like sit there and like tell them. So like I wrote like a little letter and went to give it to my parents, and then I wanted to like sneak out while they read it. It's like, no, stay there, hold on, wait, and then they read it. And
it just holds you down if you hand them the note and run for the door.
Yeah. And then when they get to the part where like the final piece clicks in, like I was trying to like build up to it to try to not just be like just a note that's just 2 words, I'm gay, right? Got to that, I knew they got to that point because my mom did like this like shocked gasp, like a hurt gasp. Like she was hurt by the news. And that just hurt me.
Oof.
And my dad was like very quiet. Like I think he was angry, but was trying not to show anger because again, like I said, the particular flavor of Christianity that they tried to live by was supposed to be like love and understanding. And they thought at one point that I was like not tricked into it, but like seduced into it by like outside influences. Yeah. So at the time, like me and my brothers all had cell phones, so they got us new cell phones with new phone numbers, so I couldn't contact anybody that I had contacted before, right? And you know, you talk to the bishop, which is the Mormon version of the priest, I think, and I kind of just went with it. Like I let them think that I wanted to be better because I just didn't want to deal with the struggle.
Yeah.
The having to fight for who I am, and it's not bad, and please accept me. I didn't want to have to fight for that. I was, I think, 17 at the time, so it's like not that much longer. It's like I'll just kind of go along with this, and then it's only gonna be like another year, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal. I didn't discover who I was until much later in life, so I didn't need to, I guess, have that pain, so I could just deal with it for another year, right?
Yeah.
So I quote got better, and then when I was 18, I moved out, and kind of just never talked to them about it again. Until like a year or so afterwards. I don't remember what it was, but like I was talking to my mom on the phone, and she said something that kind of implied that she knows that I'm, quote, not better. And just in that time, I guess during the year of us never mentioning it ever, just she had come to terms with it. Because at that point, she was just like, I just want you to be safe and I want you to be happy. And if this makes you happy, then okay, you're still my son. And so like I went straight from the having to fight for your parents' acceptance to being accepted without any real struggle. So like I admit I got really lucky.
Yeah.
In that sense. It kind of just like happened on their own.
The only negative experience that I had with coming out, because obviously coming out to my mom was easy and pain-free. My mom was just like, yay, you told me, and that was it. The only negative experience I had with coming out was the fact that my uncle was gay, and he immediately took all credit for it. He basically said that the only reason that I even felt comfortable being gay was because he paved the way for me, and that he was my role model, which I hate that uncle. I can't stand him. He is every stereotype that I can't stand about most gay people, and I resented him for it. Like he took everything that made me feel better about coming out and made it about him. And then for my birthday, he bought me a big, huge book called The Joy of Gay Sex. But he bought me this book, and he gave it to me in front of my entire family. Everyone's in the living room opening gifts, and he gives it to me. And it had a picture of 2 dudes having sex on the cover, with the words "Joy of Gay Sex" on the spine and on the front. And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, check it out. And he grabs it and he starts flipping through it. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. Why would you do this to me? And he got so angry that I didn't jump up and hold the book above my head and go, look, everyone, and it's like, go fuck yourself. Who would?
Like, no offense, but he sounds like the kind of person that makes being gay his personality.
He
has to shove it in everyone's face.
He is. He insists that antiquing is the best thing in the entire world. He restored an old, essentially, mansion in Boston, and he talks with the the thing is my mom told me a bunch of stuff about him, which is he never used to talk with a lisp, but then when he came out, he immediately developed one. He's one of those, like, he'll get right up in your face and be like, I'm queer. Do you have a problem with that? And it's like, oh my God, dude. Like, I'm gay, but I don't feel the need to tell everyone. I probably should just stop. Thing is I have no problem with gay people. I'm gay.
I hope
I'm
not.
bi. What?
I said, I hope you don't have a problem with gay people.
No, I don't have a problem with gay people, but it's like, yeah, I'm not.
This is a very weird episode.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Before I dig this hole any deeper.
DM, what did you do to us?
No, it's just this is something that I've probably wanted to bitch about for a really long time, but I've never had like
a captive audience.
No, a captive audience of one.
We have more than one person listen to our podcast.
No, right now, Treesenix. He's the only one. He's like, "Hi, I'm the captive audience." Just holding.
And you can be a part of this
Let me tell you.
Dilettante's trying to advertise.
Sorry,
Bantam won't shut up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and you could be a part of this captive audience for $5 a month and come listen to these stories and what we don't edit out.
Who knows? Maybe this advertisement will just be like, well, that came out of nowhere because everything's cut out. All right. What's the next topic then?
Jeremy's confrontation with Lewis.
Which one?
The first one.
The first one, I think.
I'll kill you, you monster.
Fucking goes Anakin Skywalker.
I hate you.
That was the first thing that popped into mind when I read that line. Yeah, but Lewis was pretty chill getting stabbed.
Yeah, okay, so here's another really weird, controversial thought, okay? How did I word this on my notes so I don't, like, fuck it up? Okay, the concept of, like, Jeremy trying to kill Lazy Scales, only because it was ineffective, I found it kind of cute. Like, I don't know why. I think it's because, to me, being a dragon is being strong, being powerful, being unstoppable. That's why I'm like, I'm missile-proof, right? So, having, like, a tiny little dragon slayer just, like, climbing on you, stabbing you, and, like, not doing anything is like, ha, yes, I am unstoppable. But so it's like, Bantam and I have joked before, where, like, I'm the dragon, and he's my dragon slayer friend, and it's like, we keep threatening each other. Just, like, this weird, like, dichotomy kind of thing. It's like, it's a fun flavor. Yeah? That's also why you're Jeremy Bantam.
Ugh.
No one deserves to have that insult. Come on, man.
I hate Jeremy so much.
What about Jeremy's logic in wanting to kill Lazy Scales?
That's also stupid. It's stupid.
No. I talked to Bantam about that before, and I'm going to have to talk to you now, Dilettan, okay?
Okay.
Dilettan.
Okay. Hi.
Valued listeners, how familiar are you with the ship of Theseus?
Wait. The ship of Theseus went on a journey. The captain, like, sacrificed all of his men to fucking get back home.
No. That's the Odyssey.
Oh.
No, it's fine. I'm not entirely laughing to make fun of you. I'm laughing because it's like, all right. So the ship of Theseus,
okay, so
Dilettan, is that there is a ship. It's the ship of
theoretical concept.
It's a theoretical concept of a ship named Theseus, and as the ship's parts start to rot and wear away, they get replaced with new parts. So peeling off wood panels and putting new wood panels in.
Replacing the mast, getting a new sail.
Yeah.
After you replace everything, is it the original
still the ship
or not?
of Theseus?
Yeah. At what point does it stop being the ship of Theseus?
Or is it always the ship of Theseus?
But that's only a mechanical concept. You can't apply that to biological.
No. I'm getting there.
Okay.
To you, Dilettan, the ship of Theseus. At what point is it no longer the ship of Theseus?
No, you can't ask it that way because that completely invalidates the discussion. Depending on the viewpoint of the person you're asking, the ship could always be or could at some point no longer be. You can't ask at what point is it not the ship of Theseus.
Well, the point could be never. I guess the out that I gave him, he may not have seen coming, but like, what are your thoughts on the ship of Theseus? Does it ever stop being the ship of Theseus? And if so, at what point does it stop?
I didn't think we'd get philosophical this early in the morning.
Is that a better way to ask it, Bantam?
Yes.
Okay.
The gears do not process philosophy well.
Okay, well, can I tell him my thoughts on it?
You can tell. What was your answer?
My answer is that the way you view an object, so the way that the crew view the ship of Theseus, the ship itself, it has its own spirit at that point. The people have named it the Ship of Theseus, and the Ship of Theseus is, in spirit, the thing that they're standing on. If you keep replacing parts until there's no original part left, it is still the Ship of Theseus because the people believe it is.
It's like, I can see that, because it's more like a title and a state of mind and all that, but you can understand other people's viewpoints of it's no longer the Ship of Theseus once you've replaced half of the pieces or more, or every single piece has been replaced. You can understand their viewpoint, yeah? You may not agree with it, but you can understand it.
I'm trying to apply this to the current situation of Jeremy, and I don't see how fucking...
Okay, well, let me continue on then. Let me just, rather than waiting for an answer, let me continue on.
Please do. The smoke is building up.
Lewis has a completely 100% new body. He has an entirely different mindset. Like, he cannot understand the concept of property, of commerce, and of it's wrong to kill to eat.
They even mention in the book Dumb Dragon Brain that his brain is functioning differently.
Yes. In the first book, he could not understand why it was so bad he killed Jeremy's cow. He cannot understand the concept of property. So he's got an entirely new body, an entirely new way of thinking, and even his memories have been fucked. He does not remember being human at all. If you want to take the analogy of the Ship of Theseus to this, it could be argued that he is not Lewis anymore. And that's how Jeremy sees it.
Nope. Okay. See that's I believe that's a different philosophy than the Ship of Theseus, because this is more like what makes up the soul, or what makes up a person, like say cloning, whether it's the actual genetic makeup or the experiences someone actually has throughout their life. Like say,
right. Let's say Bantam died right now. Boom. I snap my fingers. He's dead. I just killed him. Right?
Why?
I built a robot that looks exactly like Bantam. It's a synth. It looks exactly like him. It's like a synth from fucking Fallout, okay?
Okay.
And I have uploaded all of Bantam's memories and his personality into this robot. Is it Bantam?
Yes, because he still has the experiences that made up Bantam. And Lewis still has the experiences that made, albeit altered, it's still the same timeline. So I will argue that is Lewis.
To me, that would no longer be Bantam.
So basically what Ray is asking Diletan is that's the way you feel, and that's perfectly fine. Can you understand someone seeing it differently?
No.
Okay, I said the same thing. I said I can see them seeing that viewpoint, and I can also see that they're wrong. So Diletan and I are on one side of this philosophical thing, and Ray's on the other.
The point is, I understand where Jamie's coming from. I can see his point of view, how this is no longer Lewis. And if this is no longer Lewis, then it's natural to assume that because Lazy killed Lewis. I can see Jeremy's point of view, which is why I don't hate Jeremy, and that's why I was able to go like, hey, Bantam is Jeremy. That's how I see Bantam. If I was to be a born human turned into a dragon, Bantam is Jeremy. He's going to be this little human that I keep around because he's adorable and I love him, but he keeps trying to kill me, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
But yeah, that essentially that's the thing is that unfortunately I think deeply subconsciously it will always taint my view of Jeremy. I can't like, because if I were in Jeremy's position, I would not ever once be like, no, I'm going to kill him because he took away my friend. I'd be like, oh, my friend changed. I have a better friend now. It's like, it's one of the reasons I hate Jeremy. And no matter how much Ray is like, but you're Jeremy. No, I'm not. I can't deal with Jeremy being the way he is. Anyway, we should move on.
Yeah.
So there is the failed assassination attempt where Jeremy tries to kill Lewis. He manages to gash him across the face. Is it?
Several places. The face is one of the points where they keep coming back to it, because at one point Becca touches it, and
so Jeremy goes back to the crone, and the crone is like, "Did you do it?" And he had a change of heart, like after he had already attacked him, and was like, "You know what? I don't want to do this." And so he had already made up his mind that he doesn't want to kill Lazy Scales. So he goes back to the barn, and talking with the crone, and the crone's like, "Did you do it?" And he goes, "I hit him with, I stabbed him with the blade, yes." But, trying to be clever, to not say, I didn't kill him, though. And she demands that he, tell her, and he says the blade didn't work. And she's like, well, that's impossible. And at one point she ends up tasting the blood because she like wipes it off because the blade is still bloody.
Because she's a creep. She's like, dragon blood. Blah, 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 blah,
And
blah.
then she's like super fucking angry because it turns out the blood that she tasted on the blade was her own blood.
No, it tastes like
hers. Whatever. It's of her blood. It's she recognizes it, and so that's when she demands Jeremy tell her, you know, where did you get this blood? Where'd you get this blood? That's when the teeth thing happens, right? That's when the carving of the teeth happens because Lewis wants out. Jeremy wants out. Jeremy's like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. And
No, the crone like holds Jeremy against his will the first part to demand the answers, but when he wants out, that's when the teeth carding happens.
That's when the
because she snaps, like slaps him, grabs him, like, tell me who this is, and then he's like, you're fucking crazy, I want out.
Yeah, and so at that point she's like, you don't get to go. It's too late. You signed a contract, essentially, quote unquote.
The changing of a mind. What a bizarre thing.
Yeah. So what a bizarrely human thing. And so
it's weird. I like her flavor. Like, I despise her. But
I like her
as a reader. I despise her. I hate her. She needs to die. I hate her. Yeah. But like looking at it from a writing point of view,
she's great.
She's a really well done character, and I love her flavor.
I love that she's ancient and stuck in her ways, but also has gotten enough modern knowledge assimilated into her that it can make her funny. There is one quote that I audibly laughed at out loud, which was when Jeremy says, "You're like some Baba Yaga bullshit, aren't you?" And then she says, "Baba Yaga wishes she was on my bullshit." I was like, that was a good line. Yeah, the other line that made me laugh from her was when she's having a conversation with Becca in the house, and Becca's like, "I'm gonna go make some tea," and she's like, "It's loose leaf, right? Not bagged." And she goes, "All we have is bagged." And she goes, "Are you trying to kill me?" It's like, she's like, "How am I supposed to do a tea reading when it's in a bag?" I just love that, like, just an ancient being who's just like, "Oh God, what are they doing? That's not how you make tea."
Yeah, she's a great character and has good flavor, but oh my God, I hate her so much.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
That's good.
Good job on writing her, but oh my God.
When you hate a character, it means that you wrote them really well. And
when they're supposed to be hated and you hate them.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that I don't really know where that puts Jeremy for me, but I hate him.
You could argue that he's not written well because you're like, no one would react this way. This is dumb, and that's why you hate him so much.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's like it. Yeah. If I were to put myself in Jeremy's position, following the same path he did, and let's say Ray got turned into a big dragon, and it's like,
I am a big dragon.
Well, yes, but point being,
if I was human born and turned into
a big dragon, and I had a problem with that, I would simply leave. I wouldn't take it upon myself to kill you.
Refuses to elaborate, leaves.
Yeah.
But it would be fun if you tried.
Ray, you know me. Every time I see, videos on the internet of people doing like parkour or whatever and hurting themselves, I'm like, you could easily avoid doing that and not hurt yourself. And it's like, I will not put myself in a situation where I could get hurt for any reason. I don't care if it means I don't get to have fun either. I'd much rather be safe and not in pain than have fun and break my arm.
I'll be gentle.
No.
Doubt.
Are there any other big scenes? It's like there's 3 different storylines happening at the same time that kind of like leapfrog off each other, and so we kind of tackled them all by like when the first time it happened. So like, oh yeah, like when we when we got to the point where Becca is talking to Lewis about coming out to his parents, we immediately jump forward and like, oh yeah, and the scene was great too. So like, because we did that, are there any more actual major scenes before the big battle?
Besides the battle, I think the crone reveals herself to Becca.
Yeah, but we kind of touched on that with Bantam just now.
Well, I also wanted to say that that entire conversation that took place there, I found it really funny because I watched the Austin Powers movies.
Oh no!
Yeah,
nope. We're not doing this.
Just briefly,
we do not. No, it's not brief. I remember the talk from the car.
Yeah,
it's not brief.
And I can sum it down. There was a character
God.
from the Austin Powers movie who would tell he would tell you what you wanted to know if you asked him 3 times. And I just thought that was funny. I didn't know that was a Fae rule, but...
Yep.
There's also Brandon discovering Jeremy's like fucking under the influence.
Yeah, we did that when Banton said he liked how you circumvent the trope by texting rather than talking.
Brandon was the best character in this book.
Bantam is if Bantam is Jeremy, then Dilettant's Bantam. Wait, no, fuck, holy shit.
Dilettant's Bantam.
if Bantam is Jeremy, then Dilettant is Brandon.
There you go.
Holy shit, I'm so bad with names. Like, you don't even understand.
Yeah, but yeah, Brandon standing in front of Lewis with his fists up, ready to fucking go, and then Jeremy just starts walking toward him, like, with the knife, and he just punches him in the fucking gut, and Jeremy goes down. Like, goddamn! Well, it's the amount of strength in his will. Like, you're my brother. I'm gonna put you down, though.
Well, older brothers can always hit younger brothers. That's easy.
That is actually easy.
It wasn't a lethal blow. Like he was killing him.
I mean, have you never had a fight with your brother and just punch and like, yeah, stay down?
No. We were very pacifist people, except for the time I threw a door in my brother's face for laughs.
Threw a door or swung the door really hard?
My brother was walking to me. I was like, you know what, this will be funny. So I grabbed the patio door and threw it open, like tossed it off on its hinges as hard as I could into his face. It wasn't funny.
Okay. Because you said threw a door at my brother, and I'm just picturing you picked up a door that wasn't attached to a frame and threw it.
Yeah, we just had doors lying around.
But yes.
All right, final.
Yeah, I think the last one, is the final battle.
Final battle.
Okay, I guess before the final battle, there's a couple like tiny notes that I had, which are more like concepts than scenes. So I guess we can fit them in here. Like, I want to have a really brief talk on the hoarding instincts. Since it is a trope about dragons, how do you feel like it was handled in this universe?
I like it. I approve of it. The fact that a dragon can overcome their base instincts to kill and eat.
With another base instinct of hoard.
With another base, like, basically there's a hierarchy of instincts, and hoarding is higher than food.
Greed is higher than hunger.
Yeah. So the fact that like when his dad was there and he was like licking his dad, going mine in his head, and it's like trying to forcibly save that information in his brain. I thought it was cute.
It is really fun. I like it. I like a dragon's hoarding instincts. I just like it to have a point behind it. I don't remember if I had this talk on the show before, if it was like in a Reddit thread somewhere, but like Tooth and Claw, the hoarding is completely monetary. It's the rich dragons have hoards, and when a rich dragon is spending too much gold, it's called spending your bed, because you hoard because you're greedy. Simple, right? Then you have like the Age of Fire, where the hoarding is because you have to eat metal to keep your scales healthy. So when you find metal, you take it home and you hoard it for when you need it later. And then you have things like this other book I read recently called Master of the Hoard. It's a lit RPG, and so dragons hoard. Like it's not so much an instinct as it is just a thing you do. It's like a cultural thing rather than an instinct thing. You build a hoard, and because the world builds off of video game logic, the larger hoard you have, the larger domain you can have, the more minions you can have underneath you, and you can start getting more magical abilities. But the hoard itself is magical in the sense that anything put into the hoard has a chance of just spontaneously becoming magical. A sword that you put in your hoard can just one day, boom, it's a +1 sword. And then if you have a higher tier hoard, it can just be like, boom, it's now a +1 flaming sword. It just happens. And so the purpose in there of building the hoard is to just become stronger. So I like when hoards have a purpose, and I like the purpose that DM Gillmore gave it, which is just simply, dragons are greedy, they like collecting things. We'll see a couple other collections in some future books, but it's just like, yeah.
But it doesn't really serve no purpose other than just collecting. Like each of those scenarios you described benefited a dragon in some way. I don't see how hoarding in lazy scales ever gave any benefit.
It was a psychological, comforting kind of benefit. Like when he was with Becca, Becca always made him feel better. Always cheered him up, made him feel calm, because her scent was now comforting to him, because she was part of his hoard.
Still a 10.
And in a similar way, earlier when he kind of like, I guess, accidentally hoarded the ring that he got off of the policeman, when he was down, he just would pull it out and just kind of just look at it, twirl in his fingers, and kind of just watch the light glint off it. It's a comfort thing. It's like a stuffed animal.
I was gonna say, Dilettante, imagine you are in Lewis's position. You're in a cave that is just empty. There's nothing in there, and then someone brings you a really big pillow, and goes, "Hey, here, take this," and you put that pillow down, and that pillow is so comfortable, and you're like, "I want more of these pillows." It's like, would you rather be in an empty cave with nothing, or would you rather have that pillow?
I don't know if that's can apply to that situation.
Yeah, you can hoard pillows.
You can hoard anything.
I mean, yes. Hold on, I'm trying to think of like some way to counter this. I know there's one, but I can't think of it.
I can't let Bantam know he's right.
Damn it, he's right.
I can't let Ray know he has a point.
Because even imagine, so I give you the pillow and you're like, this is all right, but whatever, who cares? And then I bring you more pillows, and eventually I bring you enough pillows that you can make like a little nest out of them. And then
he just sits there and looks and is like, wait.
And then one day, I
him.
show up and I don't have a pillow, and you're like, because if I bring a pillow every time, and then you're like, where's
Did you Pavlov him into wanting
where's
pillows?
the pillow? I'm like, oh, no more pillows. You're like, I need more pillows.
No, there would be a situation where if my body was covered by, if I could sit and my whole body was on pillows, I'd have enough pillows. But that's just me.
You're on pillows and under pillows. No, it's just your face sticking out. Like pillow? What pillows?
Okay, but you can't really apply the same situation to humans.
You can. I mean, kind of. Like Last Hope does not approve of it, but it has happened before where young dragons have hoarded people, he said.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at it right now. Ray right now is hoarding...
I hoard Bantam.
He hoards me, but he also hoards Zoid models and Lego sets. In fact, Ray stole the hoarding instinct for Legos from me. He didn't give a shit about Legos until I started buying sets, and then he bought some sets, and now he has more Lego sets than I do.
My actual real life hoard would actually be trading cards like Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, physical cards and people, because a lot of my jealousy over some Bantam stuff in the past has been because he's mine. No one else can have him.
Yeah.
Well, beg to differ to that one, buddy.
Well, that's why I have to add you to my hoard too.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. No, Bantam's going in my hoard.
My hoard is digital movies and TV shows.
Awkward silence.
Ain't it beautiful?
Yeah.
I'm just watching all the wholesomeness going on in the audience stand, which you can be a part of for only $5 a month.
Yeah, here's... So there's a bunch of really famous pictures of dragons with, strange hoards. I'm the dragon with a hoard of video games.
I guess I would hoard books if I had more space to keep them here.
I would...
Because,
I don't know.
I've only read Lazy Scales through the audiobook and the ebook, but I still bought the physical book just to have them. I did the same thing as Wings of Fire. I only read the audiobooks and the ebooks, but I still bought the physical ones just to have them. That's just something that I do. I like having physical books.
Yep.
I'm going to fight for Bantam's crown over the video game hoarding, because I actually hit my data limit trying to download my entire Steam library.
Well, that's because you have a data limit. I don't, so I download I only keep X amount of games on my thing because I can just be
So, exactly, I'm going to keep all of them.
You know what? I'm gonna get on your computer, Dilettante. I'm gonna set it up so that if you don't play a game for a month, it auto uninstalls.
Challenge accepted. I'll play 3 games a day. I actually do now.
All right. Not that I'm trying to outdo you, Dilettante, but I have roughly 40% of every PS1 game ever made on my hard drive, and roughly maybe 30% of every PS2 game made on my hard drive. I also have several. I think I have 600 games on Steam. And I even collected every Skylander toy and all the Skylanders games.
You need a picture of Bantam sitting on a Skylander hoard now.
Yep. Yeah, Treesonix, I have 3 giant cardboard boxes in my closet of all the Skylander toys. And when that was done, and I was suffering from not being able to buy more Skylanders, I bought Lego Dimensions. Yeah, I have Lego Dimensions too. And I have a box full of all the Lego guys and vehicles from that too.
But Bantam, then what does Dilettante hoard?
No, we haven't talked about the final battle yet.
We just got off topic holy shit.
As usual. We got a question. What do I hoard, damn it?
You hoard Draco paraphernalia because he's your husband.
I actually do have like every picture I could find on the internet downloaded.
And you're going to buy the terrible looking toy and everything too.
Okay, I saw that toy. I'm sorry, but it's not worthy of the hoard. It may be Draco, but even I have standards, damn it.
I was looking, I brought up the link that you sent me, and I zoomed in on Draco's face. It looks like he got hit with a truck. Like, right in the upper jaw.
It really does.
Okay. Alright. Cool. We already talked about the imposition, the mind control. Don't like it. Don't like mind control. Geas is okay. Puppeteering is not. I'm kind of speeding through my notes at this point. I briefly want to talk about dragons being treated as cats and dogs. Because at some point he purred and Becca called him a cat, and then other times his tail was wagging. And then there was actually a paragraph that actually offended me. It was when Becca came by and he's like, wow, 2 visits and twice in just as many days. He must have been really on his best behavior to get this kind of treat. I'm like, oh my god, that's such a dog mentality, and I don't like how you wrote that.
Dragons being dogs, I approve of 100%.
Dragons being cats, 100%.
No,
It's like, it happens in so many books and stuff. And like even like movies, like freaking Toothless is basically a fucking dog. And it's like, I don't like it, but I'll admit that some of the behaviors match up, but you still should never call them that. Like, don't say, you're just a big cat, are you? It's like, no, don't say that to a dragon.
most of the behavior you find adorable and brag about is stuff you probably attribute to a dog.
No.
You still don't call me a dog.
Attribute to being a cat, because I call him that all the time just to watch him get angry.
Grr.
Yeah, but a cat-like dragon is more likely to kill you than a dog-like dragon. So I'm gonna go with dog.
Actually, a cat-like dragon will kill you because it wants to kill you. A dog-like dragon will kill you because it doesn't understand you're tiny and fragile.
Yeah, that's true.
But
a dog will listen to you.
All right.
I mean, debatable. All right, that's all I have for my notes. My notes are done, so we can go on to the final battle. Unless you guys have some stuff you want to talk about.
No, I talked about the quotes that I found that were really funny, that made me laugh, and how much I hate Jeremy. Still.
I appreciate Jeremy. I can see where he's coming from. I understand his point of view. And I want to have my own Jeremy so bad that I force banned him into that role.
During the final battle, Jeremy's neck gets snapped, and I was like, yes. But then it got undone.
Spoiler alert, Jeremy's died. Jeremy's dead.
Well, so it was one of those things where it's like the crone grabs him by the neck and just snaps his neck, and Jeremy drops to the floor. And I was like, yes! And then, 2 pages later, he's still dead. And Becca's even like, he's gone. And I'm like, yes! And
then you have this scene of him being a ghost, looking up at his own corpse with, and you can see Last Hope always the ghost, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, shit, Ghost Dad's real.
Yeah.
But it's like, point is, you have this scene where he's a ghost, you're like, oh, he's actually dead, he's a fucking ghost.
And I was so happy. Sorry.
Shit, I forgot, how do they bring him back?
They bring him back, he's immortal. They just give him...
Before the crone snapped his neck, he gave him the same curse he gave to Landum.
Right.
And I don't know how you missed that, Bantam, because that was before the whole next step, and you were cheering for nothing. Even I knew he wasn't completely dead.
Because it was like, I don't know.
Well, if she put the curse, then she can break it, so obviously he's dead.
Here's the thing that doesn't make any sense about the immortality.
He just wanted him dead so bad.
Here's the thing that doesn't make any sense about the immortality rules in this book. Lambton literally said that he threw himself into a volcano, and she dug him out, and he survived that. How does him being eaten by a dragon...
Because the wording of his spell was that only a dragon can kill him.
Oh, okay.
That's why he was hoping that Last Hope would strike him down so that they took each other out, kind of deal. He mentions that he had hoped for that, and also why in the prologue of the first book, when he's sitting there watching the dragon do a spell and just talking to him, it's initially you're like, why are you this is stupid? You're being a stupid villain. Why are you letting him do his spell? Just stab him, right? Assuming you're rooting for the human. But it's because he was trying to antagonize him to get him to strike back to kill him, because he wanted to get killed. But yeah. So
yeah, the final battle, we've got the crone versus Lewis.
Everybody else.
Lewis and Jeremy for a brief time is on the crone side by force.
All the women are taken prisoner in their own minds.
Yeah, but then Becca breaks free because she wills herself into being able to essentially reverse the control.
Yeah. Okay. So I keep saying I have unpopular opinions, but this one I know for a fact is unpopular because I'm in other discords that have talked about this book. I hate Becca. I do not like Becca. I think she's a Mary Sue, and I don't like the way she's handled at all in this book and any of the future ones. I don't like her, and this is just the start of what I consider to be her downward spiral, and the only reason that I haven't read book 7+ is because they focus a lot on Becca, and I'm just not for that.
See, when we did the last episode, I told Ray that I see myself as more of a Becca, and he got mad. And then, and here's the funny thing: I got bored a couple weeks ago, and I decided to shave half my head. And then I am grabbing book 3, and Becca has the same hairstyle. So,
Yeah.
I'm dating a Becca. Oh no.
Yeah.
and I like being. If I were in a book, if I got isekai'd into a book, I would want to be a Mary Sue. I'd want to be all powerful and never defeated.
It's like, okay, I get that. I kind of understand the appeal of the overpowered protagonist in like anime and other stories, which is like in Overlord and in the Slime one and whatever. I get that. It's a good mood. And like, yes, like Dee says in the chat, I'm more powerful. I'm like, oh look, I'm a wizard and I can do what I want. And I'm an animist, which is the most broken thing in the universe. It's like, I get that. Most of my complaints about why I don't like it with Becca, I can't really get into for spoiler reasons. So we're gonna have to put a pin in this, and I will have to go on my Becca rant after like book 5, maybe 6. I'll get to my Becca rant eventually. Just I want you guys to understand, I do not like her, and this is the start of her downward spiral. She was perfect in the first 2 books as just being Lewis's friend and all that. The only one who would stand up for him, the one that would go to him when he was alone, the one that kind of helped him through all these changes and stuff. At this point, she's starting to get her magic powers because she's the child of a descendant of the Fae, so she kind of gets some magic. Like, I think, I'll cut this if it's a spoiler, I think Lewis's mom also mentions that, oh yeah, I've done a magic a couple of times too, after the battle's done.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so she's starting to get her powers now, because she, I guess, is aware she has them, so now she can have them, whatever. And it's just, everything's gonna go to shit in the next couple books.
Oh yeah. I was like, who was expecting Last Hope to die when the crow grabbed him? Well, not you, Ray. You probably.
He didn't die,
I
did
know.
he? She like condensed his spirit into a little orb and was just kind of keeping.
Well, I was expecting her to just crush the orb and kill him.
Well, she was trying, but she was focusing her magic on so many other things.
Yeah, I know at some point Trisnix was worried that Last Hope was dying because he was like reading the book, and then I was talking to the author about something, and he's like, no, please, no spoilers, but I already know where this is going, no. And I thought that was cute. But no, when Last Hope mentioned that he was feeling a lot more tired recently, I was like, oh, can he like only haunt for X amount of time and he's kind of reaching the end? Is he going to just like poof away eventually?
Oh yeah, no, I was worried about that too. Like the crow drained his energy or something.
But yeah, I guess the final note of the book is after the battle, Lucy gets zapped.
And the best part about it was so we do have people discussing on our Discord, different things. There's different people who are various points in the book series. Diletan made a prediction, and he covered it in spoilers, which is good because I've actually had some really good self-control about not uncovering spoilers.
Well, I mean, don't give me too much credit. They weren't covered initially.
But well, by the time I saw them, but Diletan made a prediction. He's like, I bet Becca gets turned into a dragon, and some of the responses to that were, oh no, but and at the end of the book, it turns out it's Becca's girlfriend Lucy who gets turned into a dragon.
In Diletan's defense, I don't know how obvious this is at this point in the book, because again, I have future knowledge, so it's like, oh, it makes sense to me, I totally saw that, but like maybe first time readers don't get it. In Diletan's defense, it would have been Becca, but because she was touching Lucy, it like redirected into Lucy. That's why Becca could feel the zap too, but only Lucy went down.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I figured. I know probably like all three because unfortunately I did kind of spoil myself accidentally. Mr. Gillmore was posting a link to one of the newest books. I took a quick glance at the description.
Don't do it.
I did.
You never read the description of a book in the future of what you're reading.
It was already down the rabbit hole.
The worst case, even just seeing a character name lets you know that character survives. So it's like never.
Yeah, never mind.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts as we kind of wrap this up?
Ray, do you want to taste Fey blood?
I don't know, because there's a D&D game I'm playing in, and I had a Fey arch nemesis, and I killed them, and then I ate them, because in my head, that's the polite thing a dragon does. You make your enemy's strength their own, right? It means, I admit you were with the opponent, I'm taking your strength as part of me. So I ate the Fey, and now the Fey is like, I'm schizophrenic, I got a Fey in my head, and I don't like it. So, I don't know if I'd eat Fey blood again. Alright, closing thoughts, anyone?
Lucy's not related to Lewis in any way, is he? Is
No, she's Becca's.
No.
she? Okay.
I guess, alright, no closing thoughts, I guess, so... Hey, thank you for joining us, talk about Dull Teeth. I couldn't remember, I keep getting these names mixed up, like, I thought this was Broken Horns, but no, it's Dull Teeth. We're gonna be doing Broken Horns, next time. So
And this
weeks.
time I'm going to I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm actually going to listen to Ray's advice, and I'm going to read two chapters a day and get through it, because I will admit I finished the book mere hours before the podcast, because I would get like 5 or 6 chapters in and be like, okay, I need a break, and that break would
You're in physical pain
and
now.
that break would turn into like several hours of playing video games, and then I'd look over at the book with the bookmark in it and go, oh shit, all right, there's plenty of time, I'll read some more later.
I love being right.
Yeah, I hate admitting that you're right.
All right. Well, in the meantime, Bantam, where can they find us?
All right, so you can find us on Twitter at @officialwadpod, where ownership of our Twitter account is now currently bouncing back and forth between Diletan and I.
We're
I mean, you
we're
guys
sharing
can-
it.
Yeah, you can join Manet,
Yeah,
right?
you
Yeah,
can.
that's what I've been doing.
I have it so that I can switch back and forth, but it's yeah. And our email, if you want to email the show, which we are coming up soon on our anniversary.
Yeah, it's about a month
It's
out.
about a month out. We really would love some emails from fans. If you just want to share a little story about, dragons, or if you want to, just want to say hi, or if you have any suggestions for the show, just anything that we can read on air. We have a couple so far, but we could use some more. Yeah, definitely send us some emails, and our email is wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. Our Patreon is World of Dragons Podcast. We did just, and I'm going to plug the living crap out of myself here. I spent $370 buying stickers for the fucking Patreon tiers, as well as buying a new banner. I have shown work in progresses of the new banner to the Discord. It's looking really good. It's going to be the three of us with a kind of like a Magitech map of the different universes where we're going for these episodes, because it is done in character. There is a table, and the table is going to be littered with recognizable objects from a lot of the episodes that we've done. For some of the episodes, it's kind of just difficult to put items that would be recognizable because they are books. But we cheated by just literally putting the books on the table. But yeah, it'll be kind of like a little Easter egg hunt. Yeah, I saw the work.
And next year when we update the picture, there'll be more Easter eggs to hunt.
Honestly, I will tell the artist, because I'm friends with the artist. I will tell the artist, like, hey, can you make sure that you save the PSD and like send me the PSD as well? Because yeah, maybe every year we add and change things. Maybe change.
What if we just make our own like Finding Waldo book of like dragons and dragon trinkets?
Yeah, there you go. Try to find the onyx rod in every single fucking page.
Like in this page, it's just a picture of like Lazy Scales universe. So find these 10 Lazy Scales items, and then the next page, hey, you're in Dragonheart world. Now find 10 Dragonheart items.
There are no Dragonheart items. That was the saddest thing about this discovery.
So when we were deciding what to put for each of the things, there were a couple where we had to obviously BS it. But for Dragonheart, we were like, all right, what does bow and sword look like? Now, Ray...
It looks like a normal sword.
Yeah, it's the most generic piece of shit.
Ray had a really good idea of using the box that stored the heart.
Griffin's heart from the second movie.
But it only showed up for... Well, we we did do all the movies together, yeah, but it's like that box was like, it wasn't that recognizable, so we decided to just cheat and go with the Draco plush. So this is gonna be.
I still think you should have just done like a signed mugshot of Draco, like to my biggest fan.
Well, no, we did both. We did both.
Oh, you did both?
Yeah, so there's a picture on the table in front of Diletan with Draco and Diletan's head and some hearts around it. And there's also going to be a plush. There's going to be a plush of Elliot from Pete's Dragon. There's going to be all the Lazy Scales books. There's going to be the Mating Flight book, as well as Diarius Journal and Brooch from Dragon Ghost House Hunting. There's going to be the Onyx and Silver Rods from Golden Treasure Great Green.
Well, don't spoil all the Easter eggs.
All right, fine. But yeah, it's going to be great. And I just, maybe send us an email telling how awesome the banner is when it's done. Because
Bantam needs some head pats.
I need some head pats for the nearly $400 I spent freeing up the Discord or the Patreon page.
Yeah, next on the to-do list is to get custom emojis for the Discord.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I've got.
All right.
Yeah. Just going back to that real quick. Mating Flight and Golden Treasure were not in there. Golden Treasure because I forgot, and then Mating Flight I was like, it's just a book. I don't know what to put in there. But because one of our patrons' favorite books is Mating Flight, I made sure to put Mating Flight in there specifically for Zana.
So yeah, become a patron and you can influence our decisions. Again, I want to open voting at some point, but I want to have enough votes to where it's like they matter, and it's not just like one vote for each of the 4 different choices. Like, well, that amounted to nothing.
Well, then let's set a milestone right now. Let's say we get 10 patrons. We'll start open voting.
Yeah, okay. The $1 or the $5 tier?
I'd say $5.
Eligible.
The studio
$5
audience
tier is eligible?
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 right now.
Yeah, so five more, and we'll start opening up voting. We'll be like, hey, force these 2 to read some more books.
Or save us and give us some cool TV shows. Like Merlin.
I legitimately told Ray in the car that he's like, what if we got enough people that voted and they wanted you to go through, what was it, the 14 book series or something or other?
Well, okay, there's 18 books in Wings of Fire, but then also the thing I posted to you was like, because of how much you hated Mating Flight, it's like, what if all the patrons just vote for the sequel and you have to read The World of My Claws?
Then I would do it, and I would do it gladly, because I mean, it's what the people want, and nothing fuels me more than desiring adoration and butt pats. So yeah, if I'm told to read this book and people will love me for it, that's all that matters to me.
Not me. I'm going to do it as begrudgingly as possible.
So if you want to torture Diletan, then come on over.
Please don't torture me.
It's always fun to torture Diletan.
No. I get enough from these 2. If I get 10 more people.
Yeah, I literally am fueled by acknowledgement and love.
Yep. So next next episode, we're doing Broken Horns. And then following that, it's still kind of up in the air. I'll see if these 2 want to just immediately go into book 5 and then book 6 to just get this done with, so we can do our author interview. If they feel like they need a break, then instead the episode after next will be me bitching about Wings of Fire for 2 hours. Maybe 4 hours, because it's a very long series. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they feel after they read this next book.
All right, sounds good.
Alrighty.
All right. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.